exactly she wants from the Indian government and how she wants the External Affairs Minister to step in on this issue. And finally, we will take you through the rains that's pounding Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal. The Vaishno Devi Yatra has currently been suspended after 9 people have died. We will take you through those images. And Prime Minister Modi inaugurating the first Maruti plant EV vehicles. The takeaway here is that nearly 100 countries will eventually have Indian EV vehicles, as assured by the Prime Minister. So India's EV dream really coming into a reality. As always, the headlines first. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, on the 100th anniversary of the organization, has claimed that people of undivided India share the same ancestral DNA for over 40,000 years. He defines Hindus in terms of geography and traditions, saying many either deny or remain unaware of their identity. Rahul Gandhi slams the NDA government, alleging BJP is manipulating Bihar's voter list through the Election Commission. At Madhubani rally, he urges people to defend their voting rights to safeguard the constitution. Supreme Court has ordered an SIT led by ex-judge J. Chalameshwar to probe Reliance-owned Vantara in Gujarat over alleged illegal animal acquisitions, Wildlife Act violations and financial irregularities. Report due on September 12th. Vantara, owned by Reliance Group, says they will fully cooperate. Defence Minister inducts INS Udaygiri and INS Hemgiri under Project 17A at Eastern Naval Command. First time 2 frontline warships from different shipyards are commissioned together, boosting India's maritime power. Torrential rains trigger landslip on Katra Adhkwari route, leaving at least 5 people dead, 14 injured, several feared trapped. Rescue operations underway. Jammu and Kashmir reels under the most severe floods in recent times. Blocked highways and submerged low-lying areas. Hours-long SIT search at Vedic leader Mahesh Shetty Timarodi's house in Karnataka follows arrest of the complainant who handed over a skull later deemed as false evidence. This is the Dharmasthala case. In fact, Mahesh Shetty has been raided. BJP VHP alleges smear campaign against Dharmasthala temple, demand NIA ED probe into a wider conspiracy. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan orders intensified preventive measures as Kerala reports 41 amoebic brain-eating disease cases this year has been reported. 18 are still active. Water is Life, a campaign that's being launched with multiple departments to curb spread of this waterborne brain-eating disease. A German daily, a paper called FAZ, has reported that Donald Trump has called Prime Minister Modi multiple times, but he did not pick up. This comes right in time when Trump's tariff is impending on India. In fact, the report claims that Trump tried repeatedly to reach the Prime Minister over tariffs, urging India to cut duties and buy more US goods, but Modi government stayed firm, avoiding calls and concessions, with the report saying India is instead leaning closer to China. While US gears up to slap India with 50% tariffs from August 27th, reports say that Trump and Putin have quietly been exploring energy deals, from ExxonMobil's return to Sakhalin-1 to US tech sales for Russia-sanctioned Arctic LNG-2. Russia and the United States really exploring deals, while at a time the United States is pressuring India to give in only for buying cheap oil. Right, let me cut across to our top story here on Harjinder Singh, a truck driver in the United States who landed up taking a wrong U-turn, killing 3 people. Eventually now he's been arrested, but it seems like the Sikh community in the United States are rallying behind Harjinder Singh. 2.6 million and counting. That's how many have signed a petition for the 28-year-old Harjinder Singh from Punjab, a truck driver in the United States who is charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide in Florida after attempting an illegal U-turn through a restricted access point. That's the CCTV footage there. His truck, while taking that U-turn, blocked all lanes. It was a wrong U-turn. A speeding minivan came straight at him, rammed into that truck, killing 3 people on the spot. Making matters worse for him, investigators found that Harjinder Singh had entered the United States illegally 6 years ago, and he did not pass the English proficiency test either. So when they tried to show him some signages on whether he could recognize the signboards, he couldn't recognize a few of them. And that now has led to his case, or a case against him, becoming stronger. The petition now that favors him and supports Harjinder Singh here, saying he's not a murderer, demands a fair trial for Harjinder and not punishment as harsh as 45 to 90 years in prison for what his supporters insist was just a mistake. Basically, it seems like homicide allegations have been leveled against him, and the punishment here could lead up to him being in prison for nearly 45 to 90 years. And this precisely, the Sikh community there say, is disproportionate for the crime that was committed. The case has now spiraled into politics. US Secretary of State Mark Rubio has announced an immediate pause on worker visas for all foreign truck drivers. Remember, most of the foreign truck drivers comprise of people from Punjab. The Sikh community really form the largest group of truck drivers in the United States. Mark Rubio says, well, we're stopping these visas because not just are they endangering American lives, but are also undercutting local jobs, that American jobs must be priority. Well, back home, the Sikh community is deeply upset. The homicide charges have been leveled against Harjinder. But apart from that, what's really upset them is that Harjinder was paraded without his turban, which is an article of faith, very important for a Sikh person. If I could show you some courtroom images there of Harjinder Singh without his turban. He wasn't allowed to wear one. And this, the Sikh community says, was absolutely humiliating and disrespectful. In fact, Shiromani Akali Dal MP Harsimrat Kaur Badal has appealed that Harjinder be punished for an accident, yes, but being branded as a murderer is unfair, and all the more not being allowed to wear a turban. It's absolutely humiliating for a community that's contributed immensely in the United States. She's urged the Indian government to step in, warning that over 1.5 lakh Punjabi truck drivers in the United States must not be targeted or lose their livelihood because of one man's mistake. In fact, I'm joined here tonight by Harsimrat Kaur herself, Patinda MP. She speaks to us a little more about what her appeal is to the government of India. Thank you very much, Harsimrat Badal, for speaking to News 9. And we know that you've shot off a letter to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. But I'd like to ask you, Harjinder Singh has received support through a petition which has nearly 2.5 million signatures. And the Western media at this point almost mocking at it, saying the man has made a mistake. 3 people have died, but yet it seems like the Indian community, Sikh community largely, are rallying behind him. Why do you think he's getting this support?
So yes, while I agree that he may have entered illegally like a lot of other people do, but he had a valid driving license, and which gave him the authority to drive, and he had a work permit as well. Now, while I totally agree that he made a mistake by doing that U-turn, it was absolutely wrong what he did, but the accident is something which a person does not do intentionally, neither the driver, and I mean, nobody does an accident intentionally. It was a mistake. Everybody feels really bad about what happened to those 3 people who lost their lives. There's no doubt about that. We feel as much. But for a mistake of an accident to be portrayed as if it was a murder, and the way the whole thing is being blown up as if it's, you know, a hate crime or something like that, trying to fan sentiments against a young Sikh boy who's done an accident. No, I can show you dozens of videos where just yesterday someone sent me where a school van full of school children with a white driver is doing exactly the same thing. But there's no hue and cry about that. So yes, it was wrong, but it was an accident. To make it into an homicide, which can end up into 90 years of prison, of 45 years of prison for a 27-year-old youngster whose whole family is dependent on him for their livelihood, seems a bit harsh. And the way that the government of America seems to be, trying to fan this anti-brown, anti-Sikh sentiment by showing the political leaders coming for his arrest with all the TV cameras. And as a Sikh personally, besides what he did, what really hurt me, and I'm sure hurt a lot in my community, for a turban Sikh, his turban is not just his pride, it's something that's been given to us by our gurus. It's a part of our body.
Correct.
The way he
Yeah.
is being paraded around with his head without the head covering really hurt our sentiment, because this is a community which in every gurdwara, morning and night, there's an ardas for universal, for the entire universe, for the entire humanity. We pray. We don't pray for the Sikhs or for the Punjab. Sarbatta Pala means for the well-being of the entire humanity and the entire universe. There we have langars which there are community kitchens wherever, if there's wherever there's a gurdwara, whenever there's some kind of a mishap anywhere or anything which happens, is this community gets together and opens up this free kitchen where you don't look at the race or anything. So for a
Oh,
community
no, absolutely. There's been a lot
which
of contribution
contributes
from the
so
Sikh
much.
community.
Yeah,
True.
a young boy has happened to make a mistake. Yes, he did an accident, and for that accident, he whatever the law says. So, but the way the government is trying to fan it into a racial kind of a thing, as it is, the Sikhs after 9/11 have borne a lot of these racial, and they have borne the
Yeah.
brunt of a lot of racial attacks because of their turban. They are,
Yeah.
connected to another
We,
community.
we
From what I feel and sense here, it appears that the harsh punishment of homicide could be the reason could be that he entered United States illegally through Mexico. He's been living illegally, obtained his license, producing those illegal documents. Do you think that's acting against him?
There's some law over there that if it's a homicide, then you get per person that you have killed up to 30 years. Now, these are all things which I'm hearing and reading. I don't know the law there. If it's from an accident, you get 15 years per person that you have killed. But if it's considered a homicide or murder that you have done, then it's 30 years per person. So we're looking at anything from 45 years to 90 years. Now that's really sad. And there was a case earlier of a Mexican who had also killed 4 people, and he got 110 years of imprisonment. And there was a petition that everybody wrote, and the government and the courts from 110 years made it into, I think, 10 years or 1 year or something like that. So, which is why our community has also got together, and over 2 million people have signed this petition. And I've reached out to the Honorable Minister for our embassy to reach out to this young boy who's not proficient in the language and who's probably in a state of shock, who's had an accident and not committed a murder knowingly, to give him all the help possible.
But this petition, Ms. Harsimrat, has also received criticism, saying that this man had false credentials right from the start. He may have got his license, the trucking license, to drive the commercial truck, but that also happened because he provided false credentials. So, a lie from the start.
If he got the permit to drive, it was obviously given by a government agency. He's got a work permit. That needs to be checked out. But yes, the party at fault is the one whoever checked those credentials. And also, I would like to add here that there is also talk about the entire trucking community.
Well, we know exactly precisely what I said. What I was about to ask you here is that the trucking community now has to bear the brunt, because most of the truck drivers in the United States are basically from the Punjabi Sikh community. They form the largest community of truck drivers in the United States. At a time like this freeze by the US government to pause all foreign truck driver visas. How do you think how is that going to affect the community particularly? And also America now, speaking of America first, bouncing off this case, saying even truck drivers must be American. You're anyway too many in the country now?
No, so that's again, I call this again targeting. It's absolutely they're targeting on the basis of your color, and there are plenty of youngsters who have gone there legally, who are been living there legally, who are probably second and third generation, whose entire livelihood, who've taken loans, set up huge businesses. They form a huge majority of the trucking business, and they're supporting families, young kids, and old parents back home here and even over there who've been living that everybody's livelihood is going to come to a standstill because of the one accident caused by a youngster. You target another whole load of millions of people is absolutely unfair and uncalled for. I think that's really taking it to extremes.
But at the same time, now that you have 2 million odd signatures on a petition supporting him, that's being tarnished. People claiming that this is nothing but Khalistanis coming together and enforcing and pushing for a man who came in illegally, committed a crime. The Khalistani elements are trying to basically support him, basically discrediting this movement to ensure this man gets a fair trial.
The sad part is that this is how youngsters get pushed into doing wrong things. Whenever there's a Sikh who's doing something, whether, if he's sitting on a dharna at the borders of Delhi asking for his rights as a farmer, or he's someone who does an accident unintentionally by mistake, like millions of other people do, the first thing, just because he's a Sikh, he's a Khalistani. I mean, when is the last time that the people of Punjab even demanded Khalistan? We put an end by clearly stating that we are the biggest nationalists. We gave up we sacrificed the maximum for the freedom of this country. If you look at Kalapani, if you look at hanging, if you look at Jallianwala Bagh, for this freedom movement, Sikhs sacrificed the maximum. And there's nobody more patriotic than them. Even today, if you look at the ones guarding the border or the food security of our nation, it is the Sikhs who are in the forefront. But yet, every time we ask for something which is our right, even for Harjinder Singh, if we are saying that, okay, extend a hand of helping hand to him and give him whatever is, if he's committed an accident, yes, but be liberal. You be liberal with earlier. There are cases which we are citing. You get branded as a Khalistan. Now, this is really sad that a handful of people who are sponsored by Pakistan sitting on foreign soils who run this agenda because they make a lot of money out of it, and every innocent Sikh who asks for his right or comes up or raises his voice for something which is unfair gets branded with them. And it's really unfair because wherever Sikhs have gone, they have always contributed. And I would, through you, appeal to Sikhs in all the other countries who are sitting in governments now, in powerful positions now, that please get your governments also to raise their voice, because to brand this youngster who's had an accident by mistake as a Khalistani and fan racial hatred towards the Sikh is again extremely unfortunate if any government does it, and every Sikh should raise their voice against it.
So from a sense I get, and what you said rightly, is that you're not supporting the crime here. You condemn it. It was a mistake. An accident has happened. Well, yes, he, as per investigation, claims are that he came into the United States illegally. But does this really entail his case to be given the harshest of punishment of homicide? And now this has taken a political turn because we're looking at the Republicans making this an exhibitionist arrest, trying to make an example of Harjinder Singh. First of all, Florida is governed by the Republicans, and we hear that Harjinder has his license and resides in California, which is governed by the Democrats. So there itself, we're looking at a political tiff, and he seems like right now caught in that political crossfire,
which has never been done before, which is why I'm saying that this is yet again, I call it a racial crime and a racial attack, which is being attempted, unfortunately, by ruling parties, which is what can be more unfortunate than that. You know, one side, we've already got this trade tariff war going on, which I don't want to comment on, but we all know what's going on. And the other side now, they just, a young innocent boy who had an accident is being made the face of yet another some kind of
do you
racial
believe?
Well, now you've written to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. What do you expect from the government of India? Have you heard back from him?
No, he hasn't responded, unfortunately. And I do expect the government to act because the government talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. Sikhs are make up part of this nation, and we are in a year where we are celebrating 350th birth anniversary of our ninth Guru, who laid down his life at a time. There's no other example in the entire world where a guru lays down his life for the religious freedom of another community. I mean, plenty have done it for their own. But Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib laid down his life for the Kashmiri Pandits who were being forced by the Mughals at that time to change their religion. And if there is the foundation of human rights was laid, the foundation of religious freedom was laid, I think our ninth Guru played the biggest role in that. He didn't have to do it. No one forced him to do it. He came all the way to Delhi and said that first convert me, then you try converting these people, and he was beheaded. I mean, we are celebrating the 350th year of that, and if the government, which today is in majority, owes it to the Sikh Guru that, they flourished and today they are ruling the nation, I think the least they can do is raise their voice for that community which feeds the nation even today, which put in the maximum sacrifices to free our nation from the British, and who historically have saved your religion whenever the time has demanded it. The least you can do is raise your voice and give us a fair trial and a fair hearing, whether here or abroad.
All right. Of course, we know that Harjinder's family is begging for mercy. They've also appealed to the United States government. Are you in touch with them?
Oh, yes. Our party is fully in touch with them. We're extending every kind of help that we can. Unfortunately, because it's in foreign soil, we cannot bypass the government. But all our Sikh community over there has come together. While we are helping the families here, our party and our community is helping them in every way they can. But we definitely need the government and the high commissions and the embassies to step in to ensure that he gets a fair chance and is not prosecuted on the basis of his turban and his color to become, a face for a political battle. Because of an accident he committed by mistake and did not commit a murder. My full sympathy is to the three who have lost their lives and the families who have lost. If there's anything we can do, our community will come together for them as well. But please do not persecute a young boy who made a mistake, which is made by millions of white people every day as well, I'm sure.
We hear you. He's Indian. He's made a mistake, committed a crime. If he's gone to the United States illegally, it's wrong, but does that entitle him to homicide, harshest punishment of 45 to 90 years in prison? When this is not the precedent in the United States, then why this? Is this a hate crime or what? Well, a petition now is being floated. Nearly 2.5 million supporters signed on that petition asking for mercy for Harjinder. I thank you very much, Harsimrat Kaur Badal, for joining us here on that. All right, we slip into a short commercial break. We'll come back with monsoons pounding Jammu and Kashmir. Vaishno Devi Yatra has now been suspended. 9 people have died. Himachal also bearing the brunt. Images of that on the other side. Stay with us.
ये बेस्ट है सर।
हमेशा वाला क्यों नहीं?
सर हमेशा।
मिश्रा जी, आपके लिए फूलों की बरसात, नया बिरला ओपस पेंट्स देने के लिए।
ऐसा क्या इसमें?
बिरला ओपस एश्योरेंस,
मतलब प्रोडक्ट वारंटी।
वारंटी तो है ही, ये एक्स्ट्रा है। 1 साल में पेंट को कुछ भी हुआ तो पेंटिंग वापस करके देंगे।
वापस करके देंगे? वापस करके देंगे?
वो भी फ्री।
फ्री?
ऐसे एश्योरेंस देने वाले को एक रॉयल सलाम तो मिलना चाहिए। पेंटिंग में पहली बार बिरला ओपस एश्योरेंस। 1 साल में पेंट को कुछ भी हुआ तो पेंटिंग वापस करके देंगे। रजिस्टर करो birlaopus.com पर।
Chandigarh, Coimbatore, NCR and Bangalore, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Raipur and Hyderabad. We've been here, we've been there. Vekas been just everywhere.
What are you watching, Dad?
Don't you often say, think before investing in the stock market? So I'm trying to gain some knowledge.
From whom?
That's this stocks expert. Makes great educational videos. Gives good investment tips too.
Dad, don't rely on such videos. Do your own research or contact a SEBI registered investment advisor. In the name of education, some influencers often misguide investors. You will have to bear the losses.
An investor awareness initiative by SEBI.
Welcome back. Let me take you through some horrific visuals coming in. This monsoon that's battered Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal. Jammu seems like it's the worst hit. Jammu looking battered and bruised. Relentless monsoon rains have pounded the region, unleashing landslides, cloudbursts and swollen rivers. In fact, this image that I'm taking you through is the moments before the Tavi Bridge collapsed. Heavy rains in Jammu damaged the road near the 4th Tavi Bridge as rivers swelled, causing vehicles to get stuck on that broken stretch. That's the image there, moments before the collapse. Relentless rains that continue to lash Jammu and Kashmir, triggering landslides, flash floods, widespread destruction across the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, this is a video that's come out of that Tavi Bridge just moments before its collapse. Imagine the panic that's gripped that region now.
Oh shit! Oh, बाहर निकलो! ओ गाड़ी वाला भैया बाहर निकाले इसको! ओ बाहर निकाले, निकाले! भैया कुछ करो, इनको निकालो! ओ बाहर आ जाओ, बाहर आ जाओ! भैया, ओ बाहर निकलो! ओ निकल जाओ! ओ गाड़ी छोड़ो! भैया बाहर निकलो यार! ओ बाहर निकल यार! ओ बाहर निकल बाहर! बाहर निकलो बाहर! गाड़ी छोड़ो! बाहर निकलो! और पीछे आ जाओ पीछे और पीछे आ जाओ गाड़ी छोड़ो पीछे आओ और पीछे आ जाओ
The Tavi Bridge that collapsed moments before that, vehicles were flying through and that you see the car getting stuck right in time. Now this is the situation in parts of Jammu and Kashmir. Let me take you through details on Mata Vaishno Devi shrine. The shrine route in Katra, a landslide resulted in the death of nearly 9 pilgrims. That's left many injured as well. Yatra has been suspended. Trains to Katra has been cancelled. So Vaishno Devi Yatra that is currently underway. We saw pilgrims there bearing the brunt of it. A landslide that's killed 9 people. Across Jammu, landslides have cut off the Srinagar highway. Cloudbursts in Doda as well, triggering flash floods. Authorities have sounded a red alert, urging people to stay away. These are visuals from Doda. People have been asked to stay away from rivers in low-lying areas. In fact, the Tavi River has also risen 7 feet above the danger mark, battering the 4th Tavi Bridge. We showed you visuals of that bridge as well. And very bad situation there in parts of Jammu and Kashmir. In Samba, let me show you. In Samba, the Basanter River that swelled to a record 9 feet, crossing evacuation levels for the first time ever. Saharkhad Bridge has also collapsed, snapping the Jammu-Pathankot highway. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, after reviewing the situation, has warned that the worst may not yet be over. Disaster response teams are on maximum alert. In neighbouring Himachal, if I could take you through some images of Himachal as well, where the deluge seems to be devastating even there in the hill region. Himachal Pradesh, schools, colleges have been shut across 8 districts. These are images from Himachal, Dharamshala in fact, where we see an entire building collapsing. Schools and colleges have been shut. Over 685 roads are blocked, including 3 national highways. The Chandigarh-Manali highway is broken between Mandi and Kulu. There you have it. Images are terrifying. Tourists remain stranded as heavy rains pound the hill region there. Dharamshala, as I showed you, several houses have collapsed. Roads have caved in. And in Dharamshala itself, since June, 155 people have died in rain-related incidents. At least 37 are remaining, are still missing. They remain missing and no information on them. This month alone, Himachal has seen nearly 44% excess rainfall. Devastation doesn't stop there. Uttarakhand, Leh and Ladakh are also battling the same fury. Monsoon has turned menacing for the Himalayan states. Families uprooted, rivers are raging and lives hanging in balance. Authorities warn the next 36 hours will be crucial in this entire region. What's really happening to our fragile Himalayas? Why do cloudbursts, landslides, flash floods now feel like an annual curse? And it's getting worse every year. What must be done to minimize the loss? Joining me here for a little more on if this is a problem that's worsening annually. Let me bring in Vimlendu Jha. In fact, our guest joining us on the panel here. Thank you very much for speaking to News 9. If you can give us a sense on the rains that we see here that have unleashed mayhem year after year, situation seems to be getting worse, ma'am. Would you want to define what the real reason is? What has happened here? Is the situation worsening due to climate change? Are we seeing a pattern that only spirals out of control every year?
See, we are talking of climate change over 2 decades now, almost 3 decades. And that time, it was said that climate change is a threat. And there is one IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and they had built scenarios. And all these things were predicted. I would say that we are going to have extremes of precipitation, extremes of temperature, cloud burst, and so on. Now, let's first understand what is climate change. Now, climate change is the GHG emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions which are increasing due to burning of fossil fuel. It's also industrialization. So what therefore happens is that because of industrialization and automobile industry growing, everything in even agriculture, we are using too much of fertilizers and so on. So the emissions are rising. Not to say that initially there was no climate change, it was very gradually it was happening, but that because of industrialization, the pace went high. Now let's look into that. It is not going to impact every country uniformly. And it was also predicted that countries like India, the increase in temperature is going to have negative impact on most of our activities, be it agriculture, be it heat stress, be it precipitation, and so on. So therefore, climate change, the Indians are not responsible, developing countries are not that much responsible, but then they have to bear the brunt. Now let's come to Himalayas and what is happening over there. And as I said, development has to take place. What we are looking at, can this development be green? Can we reduce GHG emissions? And you also must have heard the term net zero. So what we are saying is, whatever you are emitting, can it be taken care by planting more trees and so on? So the impact or GHG emissions, it becomes more or less equivalent to zero. Now let's come to Himalayas, because most of what you have shown just now, whether it is Himachal Pradesh or Jammu and Kashmir, what is happening over there? Like cities, the plains of India, in hills also, a lot of development is taking place. Himalayas are young mountains. With the result, when you uproot, whether you are building tunnels, whether it is some other activity, whether you are cutting trees, that is resulting in disturbance, which leads to landslides. What is also happening, because there is a term called carrying capacity. So there is carrying capacity of every city. Now, because of greed of those of us who lives in plain, we also want to have a house in the hills, or we want to take holiday as and when possible. So all that is further adding to the climate, the microclimate of that region as well. So we are using more of water. which is maybe coming from the springs. We are building homestays and people are not conscious. The foundation may not be that strong, and if there is any disturbance, that leads to loss of human life. So we have to be very careful. How much is the carrying capacity? How much of construction should we be permitting? And somewhere I'll say we should also become less greedy. We don't have to visit hills all the time and have our own houses built in mountains as well.
Dr. Vibha, I apologize for naming you wrongly. Dr. Vibha is in fact the Director General of TERI, which is an Energy and Resource Institute, an independent Indian think tank, to give us a little sense on sustainable energy, clean energy, pollution management, and of course climate change. So Vibha here is possibly the best to give us a sense on how bad the situation is for India and where we could be headed towards. Ms. Vibha, is this reversible? From what we see here, roads caving in and landslides, you gave us a brief as to how overpopulation could be one of the reasons, but is that it? Are we overutilizing our resources? What about climate change in terms of heat waves and a ripple effect with a monsoon like this?
See, right now, if you say, can we reverse it, it's going to take us many years, as it has taken many years to feel the impact. So right now also, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, India has taken the pledge that now the growth is going to be sustainable. It's going to be green growth. We are depending lots on renewables. We are looking for nature-based solutions. When I spoke of net zero, so therefore, why not to plant more trees? And even the so-called wasted lands, can we even put trees over there? And those who are growing them also get credit for it as carbon credits. So what we can do right now is, can we delay it? Can we delay GHG emissions, the impact of GHG emissions at the micro level? So it is mitigation first. We also have to look at adaptation. And that is where the houses should be built. How many houses, guest houses, should actually be permitted to be built. And similarly, when we look at the developmental activities, there again, we have to be conscious that development cannot be at the cost of ecological security. So we want that area to remain there the way it is. And it is what we always say, that this planet doesn't belong to us, our generation. It's a lease from our children, and therefore we have to leave it in a better place than what we inherited.
Any word of advice at a time like this? We all, like you said, people love wanting to go to the hills and owning a house there. You want to settle there somewhere more calmer, beautiful weather. But what are we really doing to the environment there? Should there be regulations and law in place against buying property in hill areas unless you're a native? Do you think that will help?
See, it is a consciousness at the level of each one of us, and that is what Vision Life is. Because any amount of policing is not going to help you. Because if I'm really determined to have a house, say in Uttarakhand, and they put a limit of 2 or 3 nalis, I'll simply decide, and I want more, I'll say, okay, all my children, I'll buy it on their name as well, so that I have a bigger piece of land. So it's not going to help us. But yes, regulations at the city level, because how many stories, what kind of buildings, how far they should be from each other, what kind of foundation should be there, because there are 2 things. If you go for a very strong foundation, it also harms the mountain, and Himalayas are young mountains. And if you don't have a strong foundation, then any calamity of this kind will result in loss of human life. So we really have to be, the administration has to be very careful. The climate action plan should be made for these areas. Adaptation, risk factors, all those studies needs to be done, and accordingly we should plan the city planning. And maybe I'll say somewhere it should be restrict the number of tourists that should be permitted. Homestays, it should only be by locals in the existing houses, and not that they are constructing more and more. So regulations of that kind are required.
All right. All right, we heard you, and we hope your advice does trickle in, because these visuals are crazy. You don't want to be stuck up in those floods, landslides that's wreaked havoc across the hill areas. The Himalayan region really struggling at this point, possibly the worst monsoon that we've seen in the last few years. Dr. Vibha, I really appreciate your time, and you want to say something in conclusion?
And the worry is it's not going to be the last one.
Yeah.
And really speaking, if we look into the data of last 5 years, every year it's becoming uglier and uglier.
Yeah.
And usually the locals, they don't worry at this stage because they feel more tourism means more job opportunities
money.
for
You never
them.
needed ACs, I hear, in Dharamshala or in any part of Himachal. You have now ACs being fitted all over. That should tell you something.
Absolutely. And also the use of water, it's a water scarce area. And naturally, those who stay in the hotel and 5-star hotels, look at the water usage of that place. And that water is simply sweeping in the hilly terrain, and that is further loosening the soil. So we have to understand the implication of each and every action.
True. Ma'am, thank you very much. Really scary visuals. Surely your word of advice does help. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
A quick break. We'll be right back on all the top stories and day tonight. Stay with us.
Papa, let's go to Doda. Happy birthday, Doda. Doda, I love you. Go, Doda, go. I love my Doda. Doda, I love my Doda.
Skoda. Go condoms?
It's over.
क्या ये डिफरेंट साइजेस में आता है?
Actually, sir, size matter नहीं करता.
तो फिर क्या मैटर करता है?
The hardness
of the condom.
of what's inside.
For the first time ever, presenting Hard Rock Gel.
अब free हर score condoms के 10 पैक के साथ.
Love makes you go the distance. Unlimited Love. The B6 Pack 2 starts at 21.9 lakh.
Thanks very much. Welcome back. Let me take you through our big story here on Made in India push in the EV space, which is fast turning into reality. From skies, the scale of the Maruti Suzuki Gujarat plant is really striking. What you see here are visuals, an aerial shot, or rather someone taking a video right from top showing the auto hub, the Maruti Suzuki auto hub in Gujarat, to be one of the largest in the country. It signals India's electric leap. In fact, Prime Minister Modi today inaugurated the Maruti Suzuki's first battery electric vehicle, the e-Vitara, at Hansalpur. The SUV, designed in India, will soon be exported to more than 100 countries, including Japan and Europe, marking India's growing mobility and self-reliance. Alongside, the Prime Minister also unveiled India's first hybrid battery electrode plant, a facility that directly takes on China's dominance in EV batteries, where it controls 75% of the global output. I'm yet again going to play those images of the aerial shots that we got. We also know top dignitaries, as you see on our screens there, including the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Bhupendra Patel, Japan's Ambassador Kiichi Ono, and Maruti Chief Toshihiro Suzuki, all attending this. Suzuki announced Hansalpur alone, this unit that you see here, that has a capacity of nearly 1 million vehicles to be housed there. The project promises jobs, green growth, foreign investment, powering the Prime Minister's Make in India vision and India's net zero 2070 target. It's just amazing and stunning to see that kind of plant there that exists in India today. In fact, at a time like this, when the world is headed towards electric vehicles, here India is not lagging in any way. That's the scale of that Maruti Suzuki plant in Hansalpur, Gujarat. India's EV dream just got its biggest charge.
आज से भारत में बने इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स 100 देशों को एक्सपोर्ट किए जाएंगे। साथ ही आज हाइब्रिड बैटरी इलेक्ट्रोड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी स्टार्ट हो रही है। आज का ये दिन भारत और जापान की फ्रेंडशिप को भी नया आयाम दे रहा है।
All right, let me cut across now to Annamalai, who seems to be another victim of politics on a non-political stage. What was once rare is now becoming a fad in Tamil Nadu. Public stages turning into sites of political snubs. At the 51st state shooting games in Tamil Nadu, BJP's K. Annamalai was placing medals around winners' necks. He was part of the event as a chief guest. But when it came to Industries Minister TRB Raja's son, Surya Raja Balu, the gesture was rejected. Surya chose to take the medal only in hand and pointedly refused Annamalai. That's the visual there, if I could play that out for you, where Annamalai insisted that he would put it around his neck like he did with all the others. Surya there, who's a Minister TRB Raja's son, part of the DMK regime, refused to take that medal around his neck from Annamalai. He in fact just took it by hand. Annamalai still called him, invited him, got a group picture, all of them together, and he left. But this really echoes what plays out in Tamil Nadu. On non-political stage, you have people trying to make a political statement. Remember just weeks ago, Jean Joseph, wife of a DMK functionary who refused to accept a PhD certificate from Governor R.N. Ravi because the DMK looks at the Governor Ravi as a BJP man. And at that time, she spoke to the media saying, he's anti-Tamil, why should I accept it from him? Annamalai now has responded, hitting back, dismissing this stunt here as cheap political drama by the DMK. Politics seeping into academic halls, sporting podiums, students and achievers no longer neutral, openly taking political sides. That seems like the sentiment in Tamil Nadu ahead of their 2026 assembly elections. Barely a few months now, less than a year for Tamil Nadu to go into polls. And these small acts of defiance really becoming sharp symbols. It's really proof now that every public moment, even if it is one of pride and celebration, is now being made political. All right. The real shot at Kerala's famed Guruvayur temple has sparked a storm. Influencer and former Big Boss contestant Jasmine Jaffar posted a video showing her dipping her feet in the temple's sacred Rudra Tirtham pond. The clip went quite viral. Devotees accused her of violating customs and hurting religious sentiments. In fact, the Guruvayur Devastation now has carried out a purification process. The Punyaham purification ritual was carried out as directed by the chief priest. In fact, darshan also was restricted until the ceremony was over. Officials say that special pujas will continue this as part of the purification process for the next 6 days. The Guruvayur temple authorities have taken serious objection to this. The Devastation board has also filed a police complaint citing a Kerala High Court order which bans videography inside the Nada Pantal except if at all there is permission taken for weddings and ceremonies. No kind of photography otherwise is allowed. Strictly not by influencers. And here it seems like there is serious objection to Jasmine Jaffar putting up this video on social platforms when it is not allowed for photography, and more importantly, we believe at that temple, non-Hindus are not permitted in the temple courtyard. Jasmine Jaffar there has received a lot of flack on social media. There's a lot of trolling that's currently happening, accusing her of deliberately hurting religious sentiments and whatnot. Jasmine, though, says that she was ignorant, has apologized, she's deleted the reel. She says that she acted out of ignorance and never meant to offend anyone. Temple officials, though, say that the purification cost, all that money that goes into all the special rituals to purify the temple, will all be recovered from the girl, Jasmine. The row has reignited debates now on temple traditions, on social media conduct, and the line between content creation and cultural sensitivity. Very sad story coming in from Rajasthan. Heart-wrenching case from Rajasthan. In Jodhpur, a 28-year-old lecturer, Sanju Bishnoi, ended her life and that of her 3-year-old daughter, Yashasvi, in the most horrific way. In fact, Sanju poured petrol on herself and her child, set both of them ablaze. The little girl died instantly and Sanju battled overnight but succumbed. Police found a chilling suicide note. This school professor, teacher there who was teaching at a school, names her husband, her in-laws and another man of accusing her basically abusing, relentless abuses of dowry. In fact, in that suicide note, Sanju names her family members, her in-laws entirely and her husband of dowry harassment and physical abuse. Her parents allege years of demand of dowry, saying that family always asked for car, cash, gold, and that pushed Sanju to absolute despair. A case of abatement to suicide is now being registered against the accused, basically Sanju's in-laws. Sanju and her daughter were cremated together, again that too after a bitter custody battle over their bodies. Police have seized her phone, they're launching a probe. But despite strict anti-dowry laws, cases like these are still exploding in 21st century India. Remember the Nikki Noida dowry case where the girl died. And here's another. Law exists in India, but the cruelty hasn't stopped. Families still demand, women still suffer. Let's really remind ourselves and repeat it, that dowry is not tradition. It's violence, and every tragedy like Sanju's is a harsh reminder of how India is failing its women. And here's another one. A chilling murder that's shaken Hyderabad. A 5-month pregnant woman brutally killed by her own husband. Her body chopped into pieces and dumped in the Musi River. Police say 27-year-old Mahinder Reddy strangled his 21-year-old wife Swati after a fight they had at their rented home on August 22nd. He then hacked her body with a blade, stuffed the body parts in plastic covers, and made multiple trips to the river to throw them. It seems very similar to the Shraddha Walker murder case. The torso and the legs of this girl were found inside the house. Police divers are still searching for her, the other parts of her missing body, her head and her hands. Imagine how brutal. Swati and Mahinder, both from Vikarabad, married in January last year, but within weeks, fights and domestic abuse, we believe, erupted. Family disputes tore their relationship. We hear Reddy had forced Swati to quit her job, and then he became over-possessive, growing suspicious. Even after she conceived, had his baby, he still was extremely violent towards her and overly possessive. That's what we hear as per reports. And on the day of the murder, Swati wanted to visit her parents for a checkup. That argument, just to visit her parents, turned into a death sentence for Swati. Reddy is now in custody, charged with murder and destruction of evidence, as Hyderabad police continue the grim search for the rest of her remains. Now, in Pune, the busy Khadki road has turned into quite a flashpoint. A simple request to follow traffic rules has turned into a nightmare for a man. 29-year-old Satyam Bhargav asked two bikers to ride in their lane, basically to stick to their lane and don't add to the traffic chaos. And instead of complying, these two men, you see what you see on the dashboard cameras, they get off their bike and began to threaten Satyam Bhargav while he was in his car. They literally dragged him out, thrashed him, fractured his nose, blood streaming as they continue to rain blows. In fact, it was what was worse is we hear that these two men on the bike, they called in reinforcements. These two men on the bike called more people to join in. Two more men on a bullet came by, and this is all on broad daylight. They joined in the assault and thrashed Satyam Bhargav black and blue. Dashcam visuals show the sheer audacity of this gang, beating up a lone car driver in broad daylight. Bhargav says that he tried to dial the police helpline constantly, seated inside his car, but the emergency line just never connected. He claims that the men even eventually robbed his gold chain and took away some cash that he had on him. Now, it's sad that Bhargav's CT scan, his medical reports, has confirmed a broken nose, scalp injuries and some internal bleeding. Yet, the shocking part here is that Khadki's police have refused to file an FIR. Instead, they've downgraded this case entirely and said this is a non-cognizable offence, meaning no arrest without a court order. Bhargav alleges that he waited for nearly 3 hours at the police station, bleeding, before even being told of this decision by the police of not wanting to file an FIR. This is where the real concern lies. 4 men openly, broad daylight, near Pune, brutalizing a citizen, robbing him and then walking away, and the police doesn't find this intense enough. The audacity of the criminals here is one thing, but the complacency of the police is a whole new low. All right, and finally, Serena Williams. She looks almost unrecognizable. Slimmer, sharper, more radiant. Serena Williams, the 23-time Grand Slam champion, is sparking headlines off the court with a personal health revelation. The 43-year-old says that her weight loss after 2 pregnancies wasn't about diets or grueling workouts, but weekly GLP-1 injections that she took. Serena admits that no matter how hard she tried, her body just didn't bounce back. It was only after starting the GLP-1 weight loss medication that she shed about 31 pounds. And more importantly, regained energy, improved her joint health, stabilized her blood sugar, and even felt mentally stronger, she claims. She calls this medicine that basically a medicine that her body really needed. But her revelation here has triggered a storm online. Admirers say that it's refreshing on one hand to hear Serena Williams, the strongest athlete, admit that she has post-pregnancy struggles, but critics on the other warning that this sends out a wrong message, that medication is only the way out, even for a world-class champion. Doctors, though, remind that GLP-1 were originally meant for type 2 diabetes, but today drugs like Wegovy and Zepbound are FDA approved as weight loss drugs for obesity. Others like Ozempic are widely used off-label for weight loss. They also caution about possible side effects, nausea, digestive issues, even rare risks of pancreatitis. Serena Williams, the turning point came after her first C-section we hear in 2017. Weight gain began impacting her joints and even her game. But after her second child, she turned to Zepbound through RO, a telehealth platform that her husband Alexis, in fact, linked. He's basically linked with as a board member, so she went in on that. Serena Williams now joins a whole list of celebrities from Sharon Osbourne to Charles Barkley, who've gone public about GLP-1 use. What began as her personal journey is now fueling a global debate about women's health after childbirth and pressure on the body and a person to look fit. And if these weight loss drugs are really the solution. Serena's new look is proof of transformation. In fact, it also is a reminder that her choice has reignited questions bigger than sport. Is it really okay to rely on weight loss drugs to lose weight? Is that the new era we're stepping into, or we're already here? All right, thanks very much for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll be right here, same time tomorrow.
Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas.
Uttarakhand has been witnessing heavy continuous rainfall this season. Why did this happen? This is happening because of us, humans, and that's the fact. That whether it was an impending climate change, what should state governments be doing, sir? If we do not nurture Himalayas will not nurture us. After targeting India on its alleged high tariffs, New Delhi stands firm against Trump's bullying.
1 crore voters add हुए थे, जो हमें मिला है वो atom bomb.
I really expect that our political party should respect for institutions which are mandated by the Constitution.
What is To the Nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the Nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the Nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
Jammu and Kashmir reels under 3 days of heavy rain. Part of the 4th Tawi Bridge at Bhagwati Nagar collapses, trapping vehicles. Shocking video shows the moment the bridge collapsed amidst panicked warnings. Five people dead and 14 injured as heavy rains trigger landslide on Mata Vaishno Devi shrine route. Union Home Minister Amit Shah speaks to Jammu and Kashmir's Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister and inquires about the landslide. Incessant rains over the past 2 days wreak havoc across Himachal Pradesh, swelling the Beas River and damaging infrastructure. More than 130 roads closed in Kulu Manali, highways blocked. India likely to sign $1 billion deal with US firm GE for 113 more GE 404 fighter jet engines. HAL has already ordered 99 engines for an initial 83 aircraft. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat says people of undivided India share common traditions and DNA for over 40,000 years, defining Hindu beyond religion as a blend of geography and culture. Banu Mushtaq reacts to Dasara inauguration row, thanks the Karnataka state government and the people of Karnataka for their affection, and urges politicians to be wise while politicizing issues. Incessant rainfall continues to batter Jammu and Kashmir. In Jammu, a key bridge over the Tawi River near Bhagwati Nagar was washed away, and the exact moment of that collapse was caught on camera. Take a look at these visuals.
Oh, gaya! Ye gaya! ओ बाहर निकलो ओ गाड़ी वाला भैया बाहर निकाले इसको ओ बाहर निकाले भैया कुछ करो इनको निकालो ओ बाहर आ जाओ भैया ओ बाहर निकलो ओ निकल जाओ ओ गाड़ी छोड़ो भैया बाहर निकलो यार ओ बाहर निकल यार ओ बाहर निकल बाहर निकलो बाहर गाड़ी छोड़ो बाहर निकलो और पीछे आ जाओ पीछे आ जाओ गाड़ी छोड़ो पीछे आओ और पीछे आ जाओ पीछे आओ पीछे आ जाओ गाड़ी में कोई नहीं है गाड़ी से निकाल लिया गाड़ी निकाल ली है बंदे मारे बंदे निकालिए
The collapse swept away the road, taking cars along with it. The bridge collapsed under the force of swelling water bodies after heavy downpours, leaving several vehicles stranded on the damaged stretch. It's the fourth Tawi bridge at Jammu's Bhagwati Nagar.
वो गाड़ी वाला भैया बाहर निकाले इसको वो बाहर निकाले ये हमारे सामने मेरे सामने अभी ये पुल नीचे आया है ये गाड़ी फंस गई यहाँ पे बंदे बाहर निकालिए बैरियर बंद नहीं करना आ जाओ पीछे आ जाओ ले आओ बस ये हमारे सामने मेरे सामने अभी ये पुल नीचे आया है ये गाड़ी फंस
Now we have a correspondent Ankit Bhatt joining us on the phone line with the latest. Ankit, talk to us. These are tragic visuals on our screens. Heavy downpour in Jammu and Kashmir, bringing a key bridge, the fourth Tawi bridge near Bhagwati Nagar. Talk to us. What is the latest on-ground situation?
Exactly, this is the Bhagwati Nagar area where the bridge was collapsed and 4 to 5 vehicles were damaged. Right now the rain is going on today due to the heavy rainfall and landslide in Jammu division. 3 casualties has been reported. In Doda so far there has been a flash flood. 5 casualties are being reported in Atkwari due to the landslide. 14 have been injured, but no casualty has been reported so far in Jammu, Samba, Kutwa, Udhampur. But heavy damages to the properties have been reported. Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra has been suspended. Shiv Khodi Yatra has also been suspended. Tavi River, Chenab River, Basanta River are flowing above the alert level. Control room has been established. Government has ordered schools and college to be closed for tomorrow as a precautionary measure.
Ankit Bhatt there joining us with the latest on the situation. Ankit, also talk to us. What is the weather prediction? How long is the incessant downpour expected to continue?
As per the weather update, there has been 36 hours weather alert in many parts of Jammu division, especially in the Jammu and the upper ridges of Jammu division, Doda, Kishtwar, Ramband and Udhampur. But continuously the heavy rain is going on. Still now the heavy rain is going on. NDRF, Jammu Kashmir Police, SDRF teams are on alert so that
Ankit Bhatt there joining us with the latest on the situation of the collapsed bridge on